and our current transition. Welcome to members. There will be a question and answer period at the end of the talk today, and we're going to encourage everybody on the webinar to use the questions in the chat box or the question box that you'll see in your control panel. We'll record them. We'll get to them at the end. I'll start by saying thanks to everybody and open this up for a couple welcome comments by Jim Purvis, who is our Fiatech board chair. Jim?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the call. I'm excited by the feedback that we've had to date on the developments that we're going to review here and talk about. I think that we're going to show you some good progress, and I encourage you to ask some questions of the group, and we will do our best to answer those. And as needed, we'll provide follow-up information after the meeting as well. So really look forward to hearing what people think about what the developments are to date as we head down the direction of this closer alignment with CII. Thank you. Bill, back over to you.
Great. Thanks, Jim. And then again, I'm Bill O'Brien. I'm the transition manager for Fiatech right now and professor at the University of Texas at Austin. Going to be joining us a little bit later on the call for their perspective is Ted Weitzman of Southern Company, Stephen Mulva of CII, who is in Europe right now, so we hope he's able to come on the call, and John Sannins from Bentley. Part of the thought behind this, we wanted the members to hear from an EPC, an owner, and a solution provider, who are the main constituents of members within Fiatech, to give their perspective on our exciting joint venture with CII and how that's shaping up and where that portends for achieving our aims and goals. Our agenda for today is we wanted to give you some background and context, our rationale for joining with CII, an overview of the governance work and planning that's going on, a discussion about the membership levels within the revisions to the new joint organization, sort of summary of value, and then have lots of time for discussion and questions. And again, if you're just coming on, there is a question box in your control panel. We're going to ask you to put those questions in as you think of them, and then we'll get them as the panel and respond to them at the end of the talk. So thanks again. So just as a recap for sort of recent events for the last year or so, in summer 2016, CI and Fiatech started significant discussion about collaboration. Fall of 2016, there was a joint working group on formal collaboration, which was composed of owners, EPCs, and solution provider members of both Fiatech and CII to look at what formal collaboration might look like, and that sort of put together a initial proposal and governance package that has been presented both to the Fiatech Board of Advisors and the CII Executive Committee with feedback from them, and though both of those bodies have voted to endorse the plan to merge and find value synergies. Where we're going now is summer, fall 2017. There needs to be in both organizations a formal vote essentially to revise their governance to come together as one organization. And that will be accomplished at or before our respective organizations' members' meetings in the fall. And then the plan, assuming the vote goes well, is the new combined organization will be initiated as a new organization with single unified membership in January 1st, 2018. And initial feedback we've gotten from both CII and Fiatech members, there's a lot of excitement around this and a lot of thought, and even it's about darn time from some perspective. So we're very excited about this and what it means for us. Really, kind of the big picture driving factors is CII has changed. In the last couple of years, CII has completely reorganized itself around 5 sectors, which we'll talk about in a few minutes, but these look like industry sectors and how an EPC might organize itself to do business. They're is an increasing both awareness and demand for better integration of technology to drive work process. And with that, a real push among CIIs to drive real, substantial, meaningful change to how their companies are doing business. At the same time, Fiatech has changed. As we've matured and really thought through our technology agenda and the roadmap, there's been a lot more emphasis on the need to integrate into work process. And where CII has traditionally been a work process shop and Fiatech has traditionally been a technology shop, those two really need to come together. And that's really the thought behind natural synergies and value. Let's take the expertise of the CII members, work process, and the Fiatech expertise and technology and kind of do 1 + 1 is going to be much greater than 2. And so to really fully form and fully realize people, process, and technology together as a single organization just makes an awful lot of sense where the industry is right now and what we need to accomplish collectively with both organizations. So this is a bit of a wordy slide, but it tries to summarize some of that and where we want to go and thinking about prior to integration this year into next, and what the future might look like for us. Prior to integration, we were very technology shop. CII was a process and people shop without technical capabilities. Both organizations, while sister organizations within the University of Texas system as research units, were functionally and operationally separate. We see that as a huge loss of opportunity, basically. We should have been working together for a longer time. With integration, we really want to get to the best of both worlds, make a more complete and capable combined entity, and look for efficiencies and effectiveness. And part of that for Fiatech really translates to being able to join with CII to get kind of a more effective back office and more support for us to do more, and then that will free up money within the new organization for us to actually accomplish more projects, which is, that's really where the value is going to be. At the same time, we think there's a lot of value in the branded entities of Fiatech and CII. We don't want to lose that, and so we want to maintain our brands while integrating finance and operations. And as that transition is complete into the future, we really want to look at leveraging joint capabilities and really help the industry move forward in productivity, safety, and business value. And then driving the capital project industries towards greater productivity and profitability for owners, contractors, and suppliers. So we think there's really win-win-win here. We need the industry to get better. The industry needs to get more productive. And with that, an opportunity for really greater profitability for everybody if we can achieve that. We're much stronger doing that together than apart. So sort of moving forward with design criteria, we really wanted to spend some time on the next generation organization, and the team has focused, the working group has really focused on what that looks like, both for us and really we're thinking about what in some ways the next generation needs to be for the industry as well. We've spent a good bit of time on being very organizationally thoughtful about how the combined organization looks and fits. And a lot of that actually draws from a lot of reflections CII has had of how it can become better to support its members and how Fiatech is additive to those efforts in a way that reserves and finds the synergies in both organizations and reflects the individual unique capabilities of what Fiatech has and how can we respect and strengthen them. And we want to continue to be technology centric, and we don't want to lose the technology focus that CII has, and indeed not only do we want to make that stronger, we want to embrace it, and by integrating in with CII that we want to make sure that we're helping to drive technology across all their sectors to help achieve the business value that everybody wants and demands. So sort of big picture, what's going to be different in 2018, the organization of governance of two entities will be understood and aligned. We will have effective working relationships, and there will be clear chain of command and function for how things are going to work. I think importantly, we want to get past any past histories and really have a culture of trust, sharing, and integration. And we have already started investing in that, and I think a lot of good things are happening already. Further down the road, members will see noticeable improvements in outcomes reflective of the change. That we'll see some things immediately, but longer term, we really want to see business value. That's the real reason we're doing this. And with that, we expect that to have improved uptake of the research, knowledge creation, and education results of the combined organization will be speed innovation to all of the reflective member companies. So Fiatech and CII together, what's that going to look like? Well, before getting into a bigger organization chart, CII has realigned itself in the past year and a half into being all about 5 sectors. And those are the blue vertical bars here: power, utilities, and infrastructure, upstream, midstream, and mining, downstream and chemicals, healthcare and facilities, manufacturing, and life sciences. And your firm will see itself in one or more of those sectors. And the expectation is that Fiatech member organizations will participate in those blue sectors. Each of those blue sectors has a dedicated budget and a great deal of autonomy to go after projects that are meaningful to that sector. So as the working group has come together, we said, well, we want that. We want to have the autonomy, and thus the red bar there will be the Fiatech sector within the new organization. As a sector, it will have a defined budget and will have a great deal of autonomy to choose its own projects and set priorities within that budget. Now, that said, we don't want Fiatech to solely be another sector. A lot of the business value comes from driving technology across all of the enterprise, and that's the goal of the green bar, the Technology Awareness and Development Committee, which will exist as a horizontal functional support group that will support Fiatech, but really the other 5 sectors as a resource to those sectors who want to think about technology and how that can better help them succeed. Now, in one of my other hats, I also sit on the Power, Utilities, Infrastructure Committee, and I can tell you that that committee is quite excited about technology potential in its initial brainstorming. The number 3 topic and number 4 topics were technology, and that's largely true of all the other sectors. So there's a great bit of interest and demand for technology, and so the green bar gives us the ability to kind of have a horizontal reach across sectors. And so essentially what Fiatech is adding to the organization will be a vertical, and that really means a Fiatech budget to continue to do things and be the tip of the spear and fail fast and do good projects, but also be a resource to help integrate across all the sectors to drive technology across. Now, what this looks like in the formal org chart, and I know this is a bit busy, but take that core of really having with Fiatech 6 sectors. The Technology Awareness and Development Committee has a horizontal, and then there are also other horizontals, the funded studies, formerly the research committee, that will help identify and manage research projects, really help to manage what the sectors are doing, and also look at managing things that cut across the sectors. There's an implementation committee that can be a resource for sectors that want to help take its research and help drive it into implementation. A performance assessment, maybe you might have seen in the past, is a benchmarking committee to help drive measures and metrics, and a professional development committee to help with helping the sectors think about taking their knowledge and how can that drive professional development. In additionally, there's various services for membership and communication and support services. Fiatech as an organization, as a sector within the combined entity, will be able to leverage all of these, and that gives us a lot more resources than Fiatech has had on its own to do more. And ultimately, I think it'll let us focus more on getting more work done and more support in the background to help us get there. Now, as part of the new organization, there are some governance at the very top. Every organization within the combined entity has a seat on their CII Board of Advisors, and that Board of Advisors is the ultimate responsibility for CII, and they vote for the budget and so on. A subset of the Board of Advisors is the Executive Committee that sort of helps set the day-to-day tone and operations for running CII and reports back to the Board of Advisors. And really, to the left and to the right of the Executive Committee, you see a Strategic Planning Committee and a Sector Leadership Committee. They're to help drive the organization forward and also to look at coordination of efforts across sectors. And you'll see the Fiatech box has a direct line through the director to the Strategic Planning Committee because we're intending to be the visionary tip of the spear, and so we belong there. But we also have a matrix to the Sector Leadership Committee, and it's our focus there to want to continue coordination with the other sectors. Now, for all of those committees, Fiatech will have a place on all of them. So the Executive Committee, the Strategic Planning Committee, and the Sector Leadership Committee are each going to expand by 2 members. They have really 2 members per sector, so as another sector, there's 6 sectors now at Fiatech there. And so we expect that people on the Fiatech board or other senior people within Fiatech organization will take seats on those committees. In addition, each sector, including Fiatech, will have its own leadership, so there'll be leaders of that. And each of the horizontals of the Technology and Awareness Development Committee will have an industry lead. And so with Fiatech joining, there are 10 new leadership spots that we will fill as part of our transition. In this new organization with a dedicated budget, the Fiatech sector, one of its existing or missions is going to be generating projects. We expect to take project ideas coming out of our current PATs, the Productivity Management Target Teams. The goal is to have a bunch of projects identified this year to bring into the Fiatech sector in early 2018, and with a budget, get that established and running. One thing I want to say about that there is that their PATs will continue to exist. There will be a thought about they may be merged or integrated with existing communities of practice that CI has where it makes sense and thoughtfully. But the goal is for them to continue to exist to provide business value, and you'll see in very small print on the slide, communities for business advancement. That's kind of the thought of a joint umbrella for communities of practice and product advancement target teams. We've done some initial thought about what that looks like, and this is meant to be illustrative. You'll see in some cases there's a direct overlap, in other cases there may or may not be some overlap. The thought is not to force integration, but to, where it makes sense and with thought, leverage existing opportunities within both organizations and grow bigger and better. Certainly, we expect the PAT teams and the new organization to open up membership to all of the CII, which has got about 130 members, and that can increase the knowledge base for us. What's the timeline for this? Well, we've done quite a bit last year and into the spring on the alignment theme workshops. The CII and Fiatech board formally endorsed this in February at their various meetings. We announced the merger in our April meeting, which was very successful. We had our April showcase, which was held jointly with the CII Board of Advisors meeting. Jim Purvis, our board chair, and Ken Dakaski, who's the executive committee chair for CII, presented that at our conference, and there was some discussion of it at the CII board meeting. In fact, an initial straw poll was taken at the CII board meeting about, do you embrace this concept? And it was, I don't know the exact numbers, but a super majority were very strongly in favor of it. Based on feedback now and with your comments, we're optimizing our final governance package and recommendations. There will be a formal vote by the membership of both organizations September, October, and then we'll operationalize after our board meetings, members meeting in October into the next year. We have thought a bit about transition assurance. We have identified a transition team of Fiatech and CII leaders to be in place this fall. We're expecting that team to kind of meet apart from the CII organization and to last for 1 or 2 years to assure integration success. And we've given some thought to what those success criteria look like. And so we've identified these 7 things as areas that we want to make sure are working well, represented in growth, diversity of the membership, success in integrating people, process, and technology, success in the communities for business advancement, which are the thoughtful integration of communities of practice and POTs, looking for efficiency of technology, increasing the knowledge base. One of the things I do want to talk about for a second there is that CII has put a lot of its work into a new knowledge base that's much more searchable. All of the Fiatech project reports will go into that, and it will be much more readily available to all of our members. At the end of the day, we want implemented projects. We have some initial thoughts on metrics for each of these areas right now. We're kind of finalizing them as we look to go forward, but we want to be very deliberate about assuring success. Now, in a new organization, what's that going to look like in terms of cost? Our current estimates, and these are estimates, so they may vary a little bit, but not more than 1,000 or 2 from the projected here, is that large members of the combined organization, and large members of those who have more than 100 million in revenues, would have a target membership fee into the combined organization of $47,000 per year. For those members that are currently members of both CII and Fiatech, that represents a discount. For those members that are just members of one, that is a substantial increase percentages, but less than $10,000 or around $10,000 for both. So, and suddenly you're getting, for that additional $10,000 or so value of, you get access to the entire other organization. So we think it's a huge value proposition. For most of our members are in the large member category for both CII and Fiatech, particularly CII. Smaller members, where there are a number of Fiatech members, those who have revenues less than 100 million, that target is meant to be 1/2 of the large member price. So at $47K target, that would be $23,500 for the small member. For those that are small members, that's actually not very different than they're currently paying. And so a lot of value there. Now for the very small people, those with less than $20 million in revenue, that is to be a 10K membership. And there we want to make sure within the combined organization there is a home for all of the small and innovative startup companies that have traditionally been members and important members of Fiatech. We want them to continue to be members of the new organization. And so we want to make that affordable. Breakthrough members won't get a vote on the Board of Advisors and have a little bit more limited access number of committees they're on, but the idea is to focus their energies. And then university members have never really paid to be part of CII. We have a nominal fee for Fiatech. We're going to eliminate that so that there's no barrier to any participation by universities. So we think there's a huge amount of value here for CII, getting better technological capability, our incubation of new technologies, getting the young technology, smaller companies. And one of the things that have always been a signature of Fiatech is our life cycle approach to the roadmap. That's important for CI as well, to go from early stage operations, early stage planning all the way through operations, and so we want to keep that there. Fiatech members really will get consistency, operational and academic rigor, which hasn't always been part of our operating functions. We'll get access to all of CII, which previously would have been a $40,000 a year membership, and certainly access to all the functional disciplines like performance assessment, implementation, and so on. And then our hope is, with success of the integration and success of our projects, we really want to have more value to the industry. Both, hopefully that means improved revenue for you all, certainly the value from the investment to the joint organization, and collectively the various associations that Fiatech and CII have with other industry associations, not just a lot of it's the data standards people and CII, some other associations, that'll all be preserved in the new organization. And so that none of that will go away, and it'll be enhanced for everybody. Based on early feedback, we have taken steps to collaborate with a lot of early wins. Horizon 360 was invigorated with a few CI people, and we've seen some real great things from them at our showcase in April, for those who attended. We've looked at participating together on CI's current supply chain project, RT344, and our integrated materials management efforts, and there's been some limited work on there and sharing surveys and other things. The CII has Power Utilities Infrastructure Committee has just launched a major regulatory project, and we've put them together with our Bob Weibel and regulatory streamlining to see if we can share experience and knowledge there, and that's gone swimmingly well so far. And one of the biggest thoughts of success there is our annual technology conference and showcase was held together with the CI Board of Advisors meeting, so the tech showcase was visited by a lot of CI folks. Very positive feedback on both ends, had a good tone. Everybody's really excited about working together. So we see tangibly right now, we've already done things to show this is real and the integration is possible. So that said, I'm going to turn it back over to ask each of our panelists to give their perspective. So Jim, if you want to add a few comments.
Sure. Thanks, Bill. And thanks for that presentation on the work that we've done to date. And I hope that people that are participating here on the phone see that we've taken careful and deliberate planning about what we're doing here, and taken into account feedback that we've received from the board members and from members at large in the two organizations to put together something that we think is really a sustainable long-term plan. And if I can share with you from Worley Parsons' point of view as a large EPC contractor, we are seeing our customers increase the level of technology that they're expecting, both in the projects that we work on and the delivered facility that they then operate. Expectations around using systems and tools and technology and work processes are increasing in their complexity, and we are striving to meet that. And we think that the opportunities afforded by having the technology groups and the functional groups and the business lines interacting more often within our company brings about better operations. And I think that that model is something that we're trying to replicate here at Fiatech CII, and we believe that that's going to make the overall effort much better. So we're looking forward to this new arrangement. And Ted, could you please share your thoughts on the new arrangement?
Yeah, I will. Ted Weitzman. I was part of the collaboration team that formed last year, and also part of this working group that has really worked on consolidation of the two entities. From a Southern Company perspective, from an owner perspective, especially one that has been a long-standing member of CII, and with some relatively fresh eyes on Fiatech, what's really become apparent to me over the past year or so is that there's been, I think, lost opportunity over at least the past decade through the autonomy that CII and Fiatech had. And we are very excited as already co-members of or members of both organizations to really see what this group, this newly formed consolidated collaborating group can do together for the industry. And I'm very excited to see how the transition team really works to move forward, and I really think the governance that we've put in place is appropriate and workable.
Stephen Mulva, have you joined the call, and are you able to share some comments?
Jim, I don't think so. I do have an email from him. Stephen is traveling in Europe right now, and so he may have some connection difficulties. He did, by email, want to share the excitement that CI has, both at their executive level and more broadly with their board, who has voted preliminary vote to endorse this concept, and a real very positive impression of everybody of our technology showcase and going there and seeing what that can add to CII. And so there's been a real need for it. So he wants to send his regrets and regards.
All right, then, John Sandens from Bentley.
Thanks, Jim. So on behalf of Bentley Systems, we've been involved with Fiatech from the onset, and have really supported and been active participants in the many activities and projects over the years. So we're also in the fairly privileged position of being an active member of CII. So we see the two worlds for both Fiatech and CII in terms of the support we provide with our global software and applications used by many of you today. Looking to the future, though, we see the proposed merger really is a natural progression which both converges and I think aligns, as Bill pointed out, the two organisations together to really drive for us a really new agenda to progress and provide tangible business value to all your organisations involved with both CII and Fiatech. We do fully endorse and support this new convergence, and we really look forward to supporting the new combined organisation if approved by the joint member groups from both organisations, and support future activities for this new founding.
Excellent, John. Thanks for that support. And now we enter the question and answer portion of the call, and the comment box is available for people to put in their questions, and Eva Leos will read out the question, and we'll do our best to answer it with the team that we have assembled here. And if we can't directly answer that, then we'll get back to you as quickly as we can with a response. Eva, how are we doing on questions?
So the first question is, how and when will the PATs be transitioned into this new structure?
So the intention is to continue the PAT development as we currently have this. The transition planning will really start post-October, and we would then expect to have the new organization up and running beginning of the new financial year, new calendar year in January. The expectation is that by then we should be able to align the communities of practice and the PATs to make sure that we've got the right organization. And the PATs will have, at the October conference, will have generated projects that will have been approved and will be starting. So, we expect to see that over the next, between now and the beginning of the financial or the calendar year.
So the second question is, how will current Fiatech projects be transitioned into this new joint venture?
So the plan would be that the ones that are in flight right now would continue to their end point. Within the new construct, the Fiatech vertical that we saw in the diagram will be able to sponsor its own projects. And so we will be able to continue the projects that we have going to completion. We'll be able to sponsor new projects ourselves based on the guidance of the group and the desire of the Fiatech vertical. So we'll be able to finish our current projects, we'll be able to start new technology-based projects, and as well, we will be able to work across the other verticals to look for opportunities to work with them within a project that they're developing, or perhaps they may suggest a project to Fiatech as to something that would be useful technology for them, for their vertical. So we'll still be able to create our own projects, and we'll also be able to collaborate on other projects that are being developed within the sector groups.
Excellent. So the next question is, will there be formal documentation on the merger issued with the details, outlines, the benefits, and the various new membership structure? And if so, when should we expect that?
Okay, the answer for that is yes, there will be, and there is going to be a formal vote of the Fiatech members. That's required in our governance documents, and the intention is to have that vote prior to the October conference, and that means that we'll need to get some more information out about the vote with the details coming up. Perhaps Bill O'Brien, you could elaborate a little bit more on the schedule?
Sure. I believe the intent is to have everything ready to distribute to the members, incorporating any final feedback, by the CII annual conference, which is early August. So it'll give plenty of time for people to read, think about, ask questions before a vote in the fall.
Excellent.
Okay. Well, at this time, there are no additional questions that have been posted. Not necessarily that nobody else has a question. Maybe they just haven't arrived at their questions yet. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. I take that back. There's one more question. So, do you envision having a new Fiatech technology project that relates to the applications outside of CII sectors, or will they specifically relate to the CII sectors?
So one thing that Fiatech is going to do, we're going to maintain the Horizon 360 program, so we will be continuing to scan the opportunities for technology and look for things that might help the industries that we're serving. So we will continue that activity, and we will be able to sponsor within Fiatech projects that within our budget and within our interest that we want to, we as Fiatech want to promote. So there will be the ability to do things outside of the industries. When you look at the list of industries that are included in CII, it's quite broad. So, you know, I don't know what industry that would be outside of the CII group, but that would be possible. The strategic committee and the projects committee will give Fiatech some direction, so we are part of the overall, but that doesn't preclude us from doing some things that will be on our own in terms of sponsoring projects.
Excellent. So no additional questions have come through, so I'll give it back to the panel for a closeout.
Okay, appreciate those questions and comments, and if anyone has one that comes to them after the meeting, then you can certainly send them to myself or Eva or Bill or anybody on the board. If you've got a question, you can either email it to us or call us and let us know what your thoughts are. Really appreciate people spending their time with us today to make sure that we're giving you the information you need to make this important decision. You know, I hope that you see that we're working hard on your behalf to create something that's going to be transformative in terms of how we can benefit industry and make a real tangible difference to the capital project industry that we're serving. Any final comments, Bill?
No, other than we're real excited by the potential here, and so we think it's going to be great.
All right, Ted, any final comment?
Had you on mute, I apologize for that. No, just that the Southern Company is very excited about the future for the joint organization.
Great, and John Sandens, final thoughts?
That's a great place to be, Jim. I can only endorse and fully support the panel discussion and comments, and likewise we're looking forward to driving this new agenda.
Excellent. Well, with that, we'll close out this call, and I'll give you 19 minutes of your day back. And as I said, if there's any other information that we can provide to help you here, just let us know. Thank you very much, everyone.